So I'm here in Goa with Jessica and Stalin. They're the founders of Video Volunteers, an organization that I'm trying my best to support, doing as much as I can. And this is just an informal chat to get to know them a little better. So, hello, hi.
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 That's Jessica and that's Stalin. And so let me start with you, Jess. When did you come to India?
I came to India in 2003. I can't believe it's been that long. As a volunteer, I was working at a women's organization in Gujarat for about 9 months, and I got totally hooked on the kind of working in communities and working with poor people and basically hearing their stories, and also really excited about the potential of technology to be in the hands of local people. In 2002, things were changing so much. They still are, but like cameras that used to cost $10,000 were now costing $500. So we could really imagine something where every village in this country would have someone who is equipped to use the latest technologies to create change in their villages and expose corruption and things like that. So that's how we got our start, and that's still kind of what we're about.
But when did you get the idea of using camera as a medium and this method of teaching people how to use a camera to present the issues? When did that occur to you?
When I was volunteering with this women's organization in Gujarat, I saw this organization had a project where local women would make films. And it was incredibly powerful. They made really powerful films, and there were moments where I saw outside filmmakers and journalists come into situations in a village where, say outside filmmakers were trying to make a film about water, and they couldn't get these rural women to articulate anything about it. They were there behind their veils and they wouldn't speak, and they were so shy, and then the community filmmakers would come in, and what they could get these women to talk about and articulate, it really made me think that, wow, we miss so much that happens that's happening in the majority of our planet, because the people who ask the questions don't have any familiarity or any sense of the realities there. So that's kind of when I saw the power of community media.
Stalin, you've been doing a lot of work in this arena before with your volunteers, right?
Yeah.
How did you start out?
I started out in 1991, just after I finished my post-graduation in communication. And I thought that, I'm the best filmmaker in the world, I can make documentaries. And I started off making documentary films. I still do.
Yeah.
And the situations in which I grew up, my own backgrounds of where I come from, where my family comes from a very low income group family, migrated from Kerala to Gujarat in search of work, like most of us do.
But you said that you were shooting video stuff in Gujarat in the riots.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of stuff did you shoot?
Basically, I was recording testimonies
Okay.
of thousands of people who were affected, who had seen the violence, who had experienced the violence, lost a lot.
Don't mind me asking, what were some of the worst stories you heard, testimonies you heard? If you want to talk about it, you don't have to. If you don't want to.
I suppose a lot of people heard about this. Worst is where this lady, Kausar Bano, and her surviving husband. I met the husband of this lady called Kausar Bano from a place called Naroda Patia, whose stomach was slit and her fetus was taken out.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And then there are several versions of that story.
So that did happen.
Yeah, I mean, I have Kausar Bano's husband.
On did anything come about from that, of that?
Yeah, I mean, not about that particular incident, no, but as a Gujarat carnage and all, there are some, bright spots as far as legal cases are concerned. There's a huge case in Panchmahal district where a very young woman was gang raped when she was 3 months pregnant, already had a 1-year-old child. And a lot of us were fighting for justice, and I was helping my friends who run these human rights organizations to fight the case, and we got 6 people life imprisonment for that.
You got for that.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually brings me to the point of Video Volunteers, the organization you're running. Well, first of all, how did you all come up with the idea? Was it like I think you're already doing it. You're already using media as a tool, right? So it must have been a no-brainer, I suppose. I mean, did you just get together and say, hey, video, human rights, we're doing the same thing, let's take this forward? How did it come about?
She was volunteering, and she had to go back to US. So I remember discussing one time, what could I do, and she was very clear that maybe she should send more volunteers back to India, and I was also kind of encouraging to do the same. And if you had incredible experience in India, then why not have that same opportunity be made available to other such people to come back to India? So I suppose video volunteers was a natural idea that Jessica had at that point, that let's have volunteer filmmakers come to India and be associated with NGOs and make a film. For the NGOs need films. They don't have the money. The volunteers will get the their time of the life experience, and NGOs get the film. And so I was consulting her, advising her informally over emails. That's how it started. This was my involvement concern. And then at some point I said, it's not enough for us to make films. We need to leave behind capacities. I'm a big fan of, big fan of Chinese proverb. You teach how to, you catch a fish for someone, they eat for a day. You teach them how to fish, they'll eat for the life.
They'll eat for the life, exactly.
So when we work with marginalized communities, these tactics work much better. So that's what I told her, that let's not just make films, but just train the people who are in these organizations to make their films. So the filmmaker then leaves behind that skill.
Yeah.
So we did about 6 projects in that nature from 2004 to 2006.
2004 is when you all started, essentially.
Yeah.
Officially with the organization. Yeah.
2003 is when it started.
Yeah.
And 2004 is when we started doing this training.
Okay.
And the name, the video volunteers, and the volunteer video makers coming to India.
Yeah.
And other places as well, not just India, so Brazil, Africa.
Okay.
And then in 2005, when we were driving down to Washington from New York, and we were not very happy, we were not very satisfied. And there was an interesting problem there, because the NGO staff would get trained and they would make the film, and then after the training was over, they would go back to their health and education work, and they do not have the time then to make films.
Yeah.
So then we said, let's do something which would be, like directly with the communities as full time. Like they should be just making films, showing films, talking about action.
Yeah.
And that's when the concept of community video unit was drawn out by the two of us sitting in a restaurant in a piece of,
Second date.
napkin.
On a second, third date.
Yeah. By that time,
We've been together for a while.
Yeah. By that time we were
like
we were in the same boat.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you drew out that plan.
We drew out that plan, and we came back here and did a meeting with about 20 organizations, all based in Gujarat, since I was based there. And we threw the idea up, like, what do you guys feel about this? That we will, we'll make videos happen from the field, and that videos will be a great tool for you to talk about issues that you otherwise cannot talk about, and people will talk about them. So they all liked it, and then we said, okay, are you willing to invest money? And 6 of them were ready.
They were ready.
Yeah, they were ready. And so we set up the first 6 community video units across 4 states, all together,
All
at the same time. All at the same time.
Yeah. And
so
how
we
many do you have now in the country?
15.
15. Nice.
Yeah, and it was, it was pretty amazing to get organizations to kind of commit at this level. One commit that media itself is the goal. That it's not media as a service for health or employment. It's like people's voices and people's stories are important enough that we can create a whole program just about this.
Yeah.
The idea with the community video units is basically it's like local people making films that they watch locally. The CVUs the community video units have been part of things like, halting the privatization of water in some bastis.
In Bombay slums.
Lots of people in Gujarat getting land reallocated to them.
Okay.
In roads getting built, electricity coming into villages for the first time in 20 years.
These are all directly from your videos.
Lots
of your work done.
Yeah.
And lots of, people getting BPL cards, people getting their Enrega 100 rupees a day for the first time. Lots of instances, basically, of the camera, being the thing that forces action on the part, on the part of the government. So it's a lot of, people getting information that they didn't have before, and then using that to put an end in a small way to corruption in their areas.
Yeah.
And then the other big impact is the impact on the people themselves who are making these films and the way that their lives change when they go from the kind of menial work that they were doing before to being valued for their ideas, their personalities, the stories, their leadership. It's incredible leadership development. And when you talk to some of our colleagues, you'll hear these stories.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to talk to them about that.
There are 200 people who are now grassroots filmmakers that are working with us now, and the first impact that you see is on these 200 people and what they are doing in their life and what they believe their life can be, and that belief is the biggest impact. And we've not given them some magic wand. We've only given them the skills of articulation, taught them some leadership skills, and given them a tool, the tool being camera. And that tool has opened them world that was absent or closed for them otherwise. It certainly opened the doors of bureaucracy, because they're supposed to go into the office and ask them questions. The tool opened them doors of the upper caste if they were themselves Dalits, because it needs, your requirement is to go and talk to all the community members and ask them, what's your problem? And so the camera kind of did that, and with that the mind expanded, and they learned what are the other issues, and when they come together in trainings like this, they learn from each other that what is the issue in Jammu and Kashmir.
And a lot of these people don't travel much, so they get to travel because of this as well, right?
Absolutely.
And meet people outside of the community, which maybe a lot of them don't.
They don't. They're not allowed to. Some of them cannot because they cannot afford to go out of their communities. Some of them want to, but they cannot because they belong to the wrong sex, wrong gender, wrong caste, or whatever. So this kind of work also expands their horizon by just increasing their mobility. So these 200 people are like really transformed individuals today. That's our first impact. And then because they are transformed, they are keen to bring that transformation to other people.
Yeah, you can't lit the spark for the fire to catch on.
Exactly. And these 200 are our sparks.
Nice. Well, anything you'd like to say or ask? Hopefully there'll be lots of people watching us.
Yeah, well, I want to share something. I mean, I want to share how much we've appreciated your involvement over the last couple of years. No, but seriously, because it's
your vision for your organization.
Because it's one of the. I mean, there are lots of things that you've done. You've helped us get press. You've done some wonderful events for us, but it's basically legitimizing the voices and the stories and the films that these people make. We face, there's so much kind of hesitancy and kind of disrespect towards like, oh, but they're just people from villages, like what do they know? And so when people from sure all the time,
all the time, from established journalists, established filmmakers, and I tell you why they say that, because they're threatened.
Feel threatened.
They feel threatened. They know what they're up against.
But what's really important about what you're doing is you're taking the time to watch the films, you're looking at it, and you're really, you're coming from a completely different world, the other side of media, and saying, look, this is important. These are important stories, these are important filmmakers. I mean, you said at the screening in Bombay, like, oh, and these are some of the really great films I've seen this year. Now, it's an exaggeration, of course, but it's still the spirit. But the spirit is really important of being able to look with new eyes, because one of the actions that people can take with this is just to watch it, like just to engage it, to watch a video on our site and to post a comment and to say, hey, Rohini, tell me what's going on in your village, or I was curious about this. What was it like when you interviewed this government official? Were you scared? Ask them those kinds of questions. Starting that kind of dialogue is taking an action, is doing something for this. And the first step is to get people to watch and to be willing to look, and that's what you're accomplishing for us.
Because of putting all the blood, sweat, and energy into making this, I just come along and say, hey, show it to me. So, I mean, the credits to you guys. I think what you're doing is awesome. And I'm here.
Thanks.
I mean, I'm here because I love what you do. So please don't give me any credit for it. It's easy for me to just come on board, interview you, put it on a website.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I live my own life, so I'm glad that you guys are doing this. It makes it easier for me because I thought it's a brilliant idea.
No,
and
I think
just same thing. I was like, wow, you're doing this. It's awesome. This is something that I always want to arm people with the camera.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's such an obvious tool, and it's amazing that you guys are doing it. I would never be able to take it this far, ever. No.
Yeah.
So,
I think the action that your fans and followers and people who are associated and like to be associated with your work, with your professional field, who would be watching these videos, is to take a piece of lesson from your life. You know, I mean, just what you said, you wanted to do something, but there are your limitations and your life path is different. But you took out a slice of your time of life and said, okay, I'm going to be engaged with video volunteers in this way. And we are requesting our viewers,
Anybody who's
watchers,
watching this,
to watch this video. If you want to know India, you should take the time to actually open up a page on internet or a newspaper and try to find that voice, that community voice on that issue, and then make an opinion. And hopefully you should be able to look at least 100 different voices, but because there are more than 100 different opinions on any subject. And then create this idea of, you know, what is my nation, what is my language, what is my region, what is my religion, and then go and sponsor.
a lot of us don't know.
A lot of us don't know.
Like you've seen, the country is huge, it's diverse, the different languages with each state. You actually don't
You
see
don't
the
know.
bigger picture unless you put yourself out there. And I think Video Volunteers does that by, because you've spread over the country, and then anybody who can just, it's so simple. You made it easy for people
Right.
to be aware. You made it easy for people to be informed. I think that's the
Right.
key that you have in your organization, and I think the request to people watching this would be to just, if nothing else, just watch.
Watch.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
you do something about it. There's no way that you're going to watch a video and not feel something or want to do something, right?
Absolutely.
I've seen some of these videos, and that's why I'm here right now.
Absolutely.
But
Watch his videos and watch the videos he supports.
watch my movies
Watch
and
his
watch their
films.
videos. Thank you so much.
Aw, thanks.
Oh, thanks, Jess.